We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater. What is going on, everybody? Taylor here, and today I have a couple of special guests with me, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are actually going to sit down and talk about how COVID-19, or coronavirus as it's popularly referred to, is affecting the film industry, because everything is just a big giant mess right now in pretty much every facet of the world. But the film industry is very, very fascinating to me with what is happening and how they're trying to shift things around and how everyone's just scrambling to try and figure out the best way to come up with a solution for all of a sudden movie theaters are closed. So before we jump into it, let's introduce the panel. We've got Jacob London. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
Are you
How
excited?
I am actually really. I've wanted to actually talk about this for a while, so I'm very excited to finally be able to sit down and actually talk about it, because this has never happened before. We've never seen this kind of thing ever happen before, and I don't think we're going to see it again for in our lifetimes. So
I mean, most likely not.
Yeah.
It's a very singular event that we're witnessing in history, which is very, very interesting.
it is, yeah.
Peter and Nick, how are you?
Doing very, very well.
Very well.
Are we excited about this? I feel like this is going to be
Excited, I feel like is the wrong word for me. It's less exciting and more so, I think it's just going to be very interesting to sort of reflect on the past 2 months almost. It's been now since anything's crazy sort of happened, and then just sort of investigate, see where it's going. It's because it's kind of a shit time for a lot of people, not going to lie. So
I just like that you said 2 months. It's literally been like 4 weeks, if that, since Bond got delayed. Like, it's not. I think it's only been 3 weeks since Bond got delayed. It just feels like 2 months.
2 months.
Well, because like the jokes are that like, oh, what a year March has been, right? And it's true.
yeah.
True. It's so true.
Like, because the last movie that I saw in the cinemas was Invisible Man, but I saw
true.
that was my third viewing.
That
of
was
it,
your-
and
yeah.
that was only a few weeks ago. And I remember when going into it was when things had already started shutting down. And I went into that movie, took my partner, and was like, I just want to do something normal. I want to feel like doing something that I usually do. So let's go to the movies. And when I came out of the movies, it was cinemas have now shut down. And I was like, wow. So I just saw the last movie in cinemas that for however, I don't know how long. And it's really just like crazy to think that this is potentially 2 or 3 more months of us not going to the cinemas, and then you've got not like 8, 9, 10 months worth of movies that are now all scrambling
in a dramatic shift of
and as we'll talk about, like they're now
production.
it's now like, do we go? You got cinema, you got digital, you got streaming. It's like it's changing the face of cinema, and for sometimes it's a good thing, and then other times it's like I don't want the magic of cinema, of going to the cinema, to die.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because I mean, well, our last movie was Onward, which technically never got a release here, and
It's so crazy to think.
it is that
because we were like, we saw it in cinemas, so
yeah,
that
like,
didn't get a release,
but it technically never got a release.
Its advanced screening weekend
was that weekend,
weekend, and it had like a few sessions, and it was meant to be opening April 2nd.
It was supposed to be opening April 2nd and then got moved up because
everything
Mulan got pushed
Yeah.
here, and then that week everything just sort of unfolded, and that's such a weird experience to think that like the last time I saw a movie in a cinema, and it's like, Pete's right, like this could be the same thing for the next 2 or 3 months, possibly more, if people pull their fucking heads in, and
you know, that's a whole other thing.
But yeah, we're gonna. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I think it's interesting because not only are we looking at these productions that now need to find new dates that they can be released, because we don't exactly know when theaters are going to be reopening, so everyone's going to be in a mad scramble towards the end of the year to find spots to shove movies, but on the other end of it, productions have been halted. So movies that are supposed to be coming out, you know, a year, 2 years from now,
next year onwards,
and have had to cut production completely, that's a whole nother facet to look at of this whole thing.
And you sort of think, but at least the good thing is that whilst we wait for those movies, we have all of these other movies to fill the spots.
Like, and that's I do want to just focus this whole conversation not on the Corona-19 in general, but the impact it's had. Guys, this will be our only time we say stay at home if you can. Please, please, please stay at home so this can all end. But
so we can go to the movies. I mean, also so people can,
stay at home. Watch Finally Tailored's YouTube channel where we have like amazing content.
Yeah.
But stay inside because you're making it really hard to go.
And if you need to exercise, if you need to go for a walk, we're also on Apple Podcasts. So make sure you listen to the podcast on there.
See, my thing
even
would
if
be
you've watched
if
the
you need to
episode already.
exercise, don't.
But
Oh, God.
I think you just brought it up, but we might just start there. The impacted productions. So the films that were in production that are no longer in production or just on hold at the moment, which are the Avatar sequels, are now completely on
Great.
hold.
Because that we're really going ahead anyway. Damn it! No, we went the Avatar sequel because of COVID-19.
James Cameron was
James
chilling
Cameron's
in
like,
New
I'm
Zealand.
playing for it.
And then
COVID-19,
he's like-
Cameron 19.
Fuck, they're going to send me home. I've been on holiday for 2 years.
The Batman, which actually really devastates
I know,
me.
that makes me really
That's
sad.
been on hold. The Cinderella at Sony with Billy Porter.
And
that's
Camila Cabello.
I have so many angry thoughts about this movie,
but that's now on hold. Like, these are the ones that have shot things. So something in this film has been shot.
Yeah.
And
Maybe they could
they've
just do a snowman and be like, we filmed 60% of it, or at least the thing.
But like, and then Elvis now famously, like,
true.
hey, Australia nearly killed Tom Hanks.
Thank God we didn't, because like you can hate us for a lot of stuff, but like there was no way we were coming back from. We were the country that killed Tom Hanks.
This is the way that I like show the importance of Tom Hanks on a scale. The most important person we've ever put into the universe, and this is accepted universally, is Fred Rogers.
Yes.
Right.
He's gone.
Yeah.
So under that is Tom Hanks.
Right.
And if you kill Tom Hanks, the second most treasured icon that we personally have as Americans,
Who's number 3?
it doesn't matter. Tom Hanks
There's
is
only ever
here.
been 2.
Number 3 is like 6 floors down. So
But it's like Dwayne Johnson or something.
yeah, something like that.
But that's, the Elvis movie has now been, that's been suspended. Disney Plus's Godmother, that one. The new Jurassic World has been suspended. King Richard, the Will Smith movie about Serena's
Right.
parents. The one that
I'm
devastates you the
personally
most.
devastated about, which is The Last Duel.
That's now been suspended.
Yeah.
Uh,
Forgot that would make
Matrix 4 has
Yeah.
been suspended. Mission Impossible 7, that one hurts.
That one
sucks.
That one's been
because they
delayed.
were going for the back-to-back releases
Yeah,
as well.
and again, we'll get to that because that's impacting other ones. And then Shang-Chi as well, because that was filming in Sydney. That's been delayed. That's now been on hold, suspended. The ones that have been straight up just delayed, that haven't shot but were going to, you've got Fantastic Beasts 3, maybe for other reasons now as well. The Little Mermaid, the Man from Toronto, which is very fascinating because that's meant to come out in this year. It's the only one on this list that's meant to come out this year. So
What's this movie?
that's the one that Jason Statham was going to be in, and they got replaced with Kevin Hart. No, Kevin Hart got replaced with Kevin Hart.
So it was meant to be Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Now it's Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably end up being Nick's favorite movie. So.
Probably in fairness, yes. Two of my favorite actors. Right now.
And then the Uncharted movie that is definitely happening got delayed.
Thor 4?
So
started?
that hadn't started
No.
yet. So basically, Shang-Chi was finishing, and then Thor was going to come in. So
Yeah.
Because that was
Uncharted
Sydney
movie.
as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, so basically, and we'll get to that, but all of them have just moved up. And then, of course, the Spider-Man sequel has also been delayed. Before we even get to the movies that have just not gone to that have been delayed in cinemas, the ones that have just had theatrical releases pulled, you had Artemis Fowl, which was is arguably the biggest so far. because it's probably the highest budget that we all can go, okay, look at that had the highest budget that they've just pulled
The
completely.
most expensive Disney Plus movie ever at the moment.
Probably. And
Yeah.
I think, have they announced that they're putting it on Disney Plus?
yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's been
It's
officially announced that it will now be released on Disney Plus. They haven't said the date. Most are still assuming May, but it could even be earlier.
Yeah,
And who knows if the movie's even finished? And that's the other thing.
Yeah, true.
The Lovebirds, which was going to be a Paramount
know.
movie, has now been sold to Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
I thought Netflix gave that a date.
Not yet. They
haven't
haven't
just
given
announced
it.
that they bought it.
okay.
They just it was just announced that we are now getting
I think
this.
that was actually meant to be this weekend. Was it's meant to be
Yeah.
the cinema release.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
So hopefully soon then.
maybe
Very excited
I
for
was
that one.
really looking
Yeah, me
forward to
too.
it.
yeah, like
Yeah.
again, it's a. I think Netflix kind of have the luxury right now of they've got an embarrassment of riches, and they're now suddenly going, okay, we have the content,
Yeah.
we don't want to release all of it,
Yeah,
so
Netflix have
th-
got to be careful
just
that
pepper
they
it
don't,
out a little
that they
bit.
don't like
exactly
inundate it.
Yeah, and so I think that's what you're going to start seeing is that, okay, there is content there.
Yeah.
How do we structure this release? Because they've got all the content, especially now that you've got HBO Max coming out in like a
Well,
month.
even before all this happened, Netflix had because when I was planning my 2020 movie watches, they have a Netflix original movie every week
Yeah.
up until mid-May, like of their own without
Yeah.
Lovebirds or anything. So yeah, they've definitely got
I think they should also they shouldn't.
May onwards. I got to think.
I know
about
that a lot of people are like we all want stuff now while we're all quarantined, but I'm like, no, I think it's going to be safe if they
You gotta
do
pepper that
spread it
shit
out
out.
because you don't want to give everybody too much at once, and then
and then we all go even more cabin
Yeah.
fever crazy.
and also like you miss like
Watch
Netflix
Tiger
isn't
King
always the
7
best
times.
at like promoting the stuff they
Yeah.
have.
I mean, like, we're trying to play catch up on the stuff we missed in 2020 before Corona hit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just the embarrassment of choices. And you sit there and you go, I don't know what to watch.
and some of it you just don't feel like watching.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
And,
Like, Lovebirds will be a movie that when it's
Oh,
announced, I'll be
100%.
like, I'm watching that.
yes.
As
Yeah.
soon as it drops.
But it's interesting that you said, and the last one, which I do think is actually very fascinating, is Trolls World Tour because they're
Yes.
doing day and date. So that one's going to go to theaters.
What it
And
was.
well, it was. Now it can't. But they were willing to put it in theaters the same day that they were going to put
So
it
as
in
we should say, in Australia, apparently still getting a September cinema release date.
Yes. So all of this is based on the US releases, not Australian, because we're an American channel.
yeah.
Yes, damn right we are.
All right. So is there anything in there that really genuinely shocks you that you want to actually talk about?
I think Trolls is the biggest one. That's
I
the
think, yeah.
when you were talking earlier about how this is sort of probably going to change how we take in cinema and films from now. That's the biggest one, is having a day and date cinema release and VOD release of something that isn't an independent feature. Something
yeah,
that's
this
been
is-
made for
yeah.
$1 million. Like this is Trolls is a sequel
Yeah.
to a fairly successful DreamWorks animated film, and now you can watch it at home. Like that's pretty crazy.
And I think it'll be one of the big tests to
Yeah.
see how people react to it, because it's a case of as much as it's going on demand, it's not like a streaming service. This is something that people
still gotta pay for it.
You gotta pay
purchase,
premium-
and
the
you get it for
premium
the,
service.
you know. And I don't know, some people might not necessarily want to pay $20 for something that they only get for 48 hours. You
Yeah.
know, like
Which is silly because obviously you'd pay that much to go to the movie theater, but you're paying
pay
for
that
the
much to get-
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting conversation
Yeah,
just to
For
have.
sure. And I think it's the other interesting factor is that this is now happening. So it's 20 odd dollars US to rent these for 48 hours in a time where some people are out of work and have
That's- yeah.
no money coming in. And so they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to spend $20 on Trolls World Tour. I'm going to spend $20 on food for my family.
Or they're going to spend $10 to Netflix
Yeah, yeah.
for
and
an
still
entire
have-
month.
for-
So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
and that's the other thing is
So
I've got to
it's
keep
a-
myself entertained for a month.
It's an interesting setup for a test, but it's just not not the right environment for it to be properly tested. So I think a lot of people are freaking out about it, going like, this will be the death of cinema. And I'm like, oh no, coronavirus at the moment is the death of cinema. Like, because we can't go outside for a lot of things is the reason we're not going to the movies. And then people will then go, but Trolls say made $1 million in rentals around the world or something. And people go, that's unprecedented for rentals. It's like, well, it is, but it's also a circumstantial thing. Whereas like if this was the ability to watch it at the cinema, I feel like more people would have gone to watch it at the movies. Going, well, I can pay $40 and take my 3 kids and we can sit there and have them shut up for 2 hours instead of having them run around the house singing Trolls songs.
Because it's funny because obviously this weekend was like, we can't report the box office this weekend.
Yeah.
But they did say the only thing that's open in America is the drive-ins.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they said people are still going
People,
to
yeah.
the drive-in. And this is the movie. It was like Onward, The Hunt, and The Invisible Man
What a triple feature.
all made, you
So
know.
and so's Bloodshot. Apparently, Bloodshot's also
Okay.
doing.
But they all
What a
made like
quadruple.
in excess of $100,000 through
Yeah.
drive-ins. And I was like, that's
Pretty
very great.
For-
like, that's a great sign.
considering, I read
in a
an
time
article, there was
when-
like 12 drive-ins open. In the
Like in a
States.
time when people are like being told stay home and cinemas is something we can't go to. People that are like, well, I'm allowed to be in a car with a certain amount of people.
Yeah.
I'm still allowed to drive. And if they're taking the effort to go to the cinema, I was like, that still proves that people want that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because one of my big fears was like, I don't want every movie to now be a streaming option.
Yeah.
I was like, I love
I
the idea of going to the movies.
and I was worried about that possibly happening with when Universal, because the what happened was Universal were the first ones. They were the first ones out the gate that went Invisible Man, Emma, and The Hunt are all available this Friday to rent for $20.
And all 3 of those movies
were still in cinemas.
Yeah.
And then they went, and then Trolls will be released day and date in America, in theaters and on a streaming service for $20 to rent. And I remember having a conversation with you guys. I was like, every studio is going to start doing this. And every studio did. They just didn't do rent.
Yeah.
They went, it's $20 to buy.
Yeah.
And you can't rent them now until May, January,
Yeah.
May, June, like until the Blu-ray was going to come out anyway. So I feel like every other studio's gone, no, we're not comfortable starting that yet because we don't want to set that precedent.
Because then also you look at them, like apart from Trolls, the movies that they've released on video on demand are all stuff that, like Invisible Man is a success.
Yeah.
It had a
Yes.
great box office.
Yes.
The Hunt and Onward and Bloodshot all opened just as this was hitting. So they're just like, we're cutting
like
out
on the
losses.
cusp of it all.
You know,
going
like
down,
Emma was one that was
Emma was kind of it was in the middle and it was
under
enjoyable
the radar,
and
roughly, which is shame for shame.
Good movie. Really good movie.
Hell yeah.
But I think Trolls was the only one that they were like, we're really going to give this a shot. And I guess if we see what the numbers are, we'll know if it's actually worthy of it. But I don't think too many movies are going to...
and
And it's like, it's hard for me to have that conversation with people because a lot of people are of that mindset where they think as soon as it's available, as soon as companies start making movies available the same day that you can go see them in a theater, they think that's complete death to cinema. And I just don't know how to have that conversation with people because I don't think that'll ever happen. I just think there are so many people who pay for the experience.
Yeah.
Where, I get maybe there are some days where you just want to sit on your couch and pay that money so that you don't have to go. But, like, look at what we do. Like, we come together every 2 weeks at least and we talk movies and we do. Like,
'cause we
that's
love
just
it so much,
that's
and
just something that I think so many people will always have.
And I think it's a generational thing as well. Like, because I think we've all grown up with, like, knowing what it's like to rent videos and DVDs and go to the cinemas and then have the streaming options. So many, like, kids today are like, but everything's streaming. Like, why would I go to the cinemas? Like, and that's why you hear these arguments of them saying, you know, like, oh, Black Widow and Mulan, like, we want to wait to the cinemas for that. And everyone's like, nah, put them on Disney Plus. I'm like, there's no way
no chance.
that they're going to do that
'Cause
because
they know
it's
people
just
will
too
come
big
and
of a
watch it.
commodity, you know? Whereas Artemis Fowl was like 99% that was going to be a flop.
Yeah.
You know?
And-
so they're cutting, like, I'm not cutting their losses, but they're sort of just,
they're taking they're going, you know what? We've been given the excuse. Why not?
Well,
Let's just use it.
And that's the difference when you look at Mulan and Black Widow that are going to be multi $100 million movies for them at the box office. What do you gain from pulling that and putting it on streaming?
yeah.
Because even if you get, you know, hundreds of thousands of people renting it.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It's not the
Because it's like
not the same
and as much
money.
as people like put it on streaming, you're like, if they're gonna release it digitally, it's like they'll release it to rent.
Yeah,
And
it-
they're not gonna make that rent for like $20.
But that's the other
You
thing
know?
is that I think why I don't think this is the future is because every other studio had the chance. They all had the chance. Onward could have been the rent. It could, it's Bloodshot could have been rent because the like Onward's going to be technically a box office disaster.
Yeah.
Like it's
yeah.
box office flop that is going to lose Disney a lot of money.
And that's definitely circumstantial.
Oh, yeah, it's-
for sure. Bloodshot would be the one where I'd go,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the
Yeah.
one that
But-
wasn't going to
yeah,
be a box office
but
hit.
they could have very easily done the same thing and gone, it's $20 online, you rent it for 48 hours. They didn't.
Yeah.
They went, it's to purchase and you can go on Disney Plus because they know they've cut their losses with that one. But
Yeah,
they've
for sure.
also gone, no, people are going to go back to the cinemas. We're seeing it. All those movies that are at the drive-in theaters, they can stay at home and spend
stay at
$20 and watch the same movie.
And it's a
But
fun
they're going.
experience to get it. And this is obviously an amplified time where people are like, I want to go out. Like, I go on my morning walk still, and I've seen many. We're allowed to, in Australia, we're allowed to walk outside for exercise with one extra person. And I live with the person I walk with. And I've never seen so many people walking outside. Like, I'm like, you're never here on my normal 6 a.m. morning walks. And it's because people want to get outside. It's fucking frustrating having to be.
So now, when everyone's allowed outside, they go outside and go into a movie theater.
Yeah, that's all you're allowed to
but
do. But
that-
it's the sorry. What I was going to say is with the drive-ins, it's the thing to do now. People really want to go outside and just not be curled up in a house, which shows they are willing to pay what they want to do for experiences for these sorts of things. So it's to say it's the death is a little bit doomsday. Yeah.
But let's talk now about the impact this has had because we've talked about the productions and we've talked about the impact of digitally on, you know, people watching movies at home. So let's just talk about the fact that they're not going to be able to watch these movies for a very long time.
So sad. So sad.
So I'm just going to go by like release date of what was coming.
This got
So
hurt so much.
A Quiet Place is the one that hurt.
That one is
That
terrible.
one we were meant to have
When
already
we
had
got
it.
like when like we all got the invite and we were like, yes, okay, Quiet Place 2. Then it was like
well, we were supposed to see Quiet Place the day that cinemas were closing down. So we were still seeing Quiet Place
Up until
the
that
night
sun,
that
yeah.
we found out cinemas were closing down. Tomorrow we were watching a Quiet
But that was,
Place
and
too.
I remember we were all sitting there going, it was the cinemas. It was because a few of the cinemas had said that we're closing.
Yeah.
some
and
of them
then
were staying open.
yeah, some of them were still saying, "I'm like, come on, you're not going to close. You're not going to close. You're not going." And then
Just close after
Oh,
we've seen a Quiet
sorry,
Place too.
no. The cinemas hadn't closed yet. It was
Palace
that
hadn't,
more.
that's
No, when we got the email, we were seeing it that night. Then the day that we were seeing it the next day.
Yeah.
Paramount delayed it.
yeah.
It was the cinemas hadn't been closed.
Oh, that's
Paramount
right.
delayed
John
it.
Krasinski
That's
did
right.
a big thing saying
Yeah.
we're delaying Quiet Place 2.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
they delayed it for everybody.
So
and
yeah,
there
we
was
found
sort of
out
that
the night
like slight
before.
optimism of
So
like,
we-
yeah, but Australia will still get it, right?
But no, there was that optimism of, but we're going to a screening. Like, come on.
You can't cancel.
Like you can't.
Do you know who we are, by the way, in the Australian culture of film reviews? I'm nothing.
Yeah. So anyway, that's now being released in September. That's been redated for September.
That one, like, physically is painful.
That one,
That hurt.
yeah.
That one
The first one. Then Mulan has now been redated for July, taking
That's a very optimistic release.
Yeah.
It is.
the
yeah.
July one. I'm kind of like, okay, maybe.
Like I would love to think that by late June, early July, that this will be all building up, and maybe them dating July. You're just like, come on, people,
Yeah.
do it correctly. But it's like when everything's getting like September seems to be the earliest like month. You go, okay, I can see that. July, like, oh,
The earliest one that I have faith in is what they redated Wonder Woman for,
Yeah.
which is
August.
August.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
the earliest that I'm like, you should be shooting
Like-
for that.
like yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the first film to move was Bond.
Yes.
Now, Bond was this weekend.
We would have seen it
We
by
would have
now.
seen it.
Already seen it, but
We would have seen it.
well,
last
you
week,
guys
last week.
would have. We would have been at a wedding, but
Well, you know,
I hope
well,
they don't watch the show.
initially,
yeah.
I was missing it because I had my whole South by Southwest ripped away from me.
What these guys are saying is that in this room, I would have been the only one who'd seen Bond by this point. And
We would have been going tomorrow night.
ooh,
so-
it feels sweet.
Oh, but now you have to wait with the rest of us.
There is no God.
The movie that I swear to God they are going to be 50 by the time they actually release this is New Mutants has been pulled again.
Taylor Joy's like, I remember back
She's like, it's been 84 years.
with her like 17
Maisie
Oscars.
Williams is like in her 30s. It's like, so what's it like playing a 16-year-old girl?
And she
Like-
still looks the same.
Actually, yeah.
You had films like Antlers, Antebellum,
Both of those.
Black Widow got pulled. Scoob, Spiral. So here's the thing: Spiral still hasn't been dated. Like a lot of these movies have been redated for like November and stuff or September.
Like Spiral to me would be like October.
Yeah,
Halloween.
However,
weekend,
now
you know,
October, September, October
Is
is
now
packed with horror films
because like
you've got
Halloween
Well, Halloween was still
Kills.
Yeah.
Halloween Kills.
Halloween
like
Kills.
hasn't been affected because that was always then.
Yep. You've got A Quiet Place in there. You've also
Shit, yeah.
got what else is there? You've also got the Monster Hunter movie, which
Oh,
you've got Candyman, which just moved.
That moved
that got
from
moved to
June.
The
September,
move from
I
June.
think.
Yeah.
So yep. You've got Venom 2 as well. You've got
That's a horror film in a different regard.
yeah, but
That's
it's
just
still packed.
scary
Like
to
that's
watch.
but there's, it's still packing
the
into
back
it.
end of
Yeah,
the year.
yeah.
And then
You know.
and then you take out you've got all of the box office blockbusters and then you've got award season
Yep.
movies.
Yeah.
So
You know?
Which I think, I'm glad you brought that up because I think with this happening where they're having to kind of suck all of the movies out of this middle part of the year, you're going to have a very interesting movie climate where movies that may have been ignored by award season now because they're playing at the end of the
Get
year,
possibilities.
people
For
are going to
sure.
remember them because
Just
they're seeing them at the back end of the year.
But also, don't forget about Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Moss and The
Moss.
Invisible Man.
I know. I'll be so angry.
And Margot Robbie and Birds of Prey, Golden Globe comedic performance.
I know.
That's all I'm
So
saying.
I know.
I do also just want to say one other movie that no one has talked about, has not been moved, and is technically opening next weekend.
Oh.
Is Promising Young Woman.
no, that got,
Yeah.
And not for us, it has. America, it hasn't yet. It has not been pushed yet.
It will be.
I know it will
I thought you
be,
were about
but
to say Tenet.
Tenet. Okay, so
Tenet's
let's
still
all
kept
right,
its
let's
July release.
So let's go to July. Let's go to June because Soul's in June, which
hasn't moved.
That hasn't moved. The King of Staten Island hasn't moved. No one's. That's
that one can easily move.
yeah.
I wouldn't be
should
surprised
buy that one.
if King of Staten Island does a Netflix.
If that gets bought by
I-
Netflix. Because
if
Pete
it
Davidson's
wasn't-
got a relationship with Netflix now.
Yeah.
Well, he's got Hulu. He's got a relationship with.
Well, his stand-up specials on Netflix as well.
fair enough.
So they can do either.
Yeah. But Judd Apatow's a big theater guy.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that's going to affect a lot of this because. But right now, if you're you've in July, Tenet. If you're Warner Brothers, is Tenet your first movie to come out?
You know what's the perfect first movie to come out that's right at the top of that list? The Purge 5.
Right?
Have they made a fifth one? What the?
But the great thing
And
will be
it's
like,
slated-
America will get that. Australia won't.
And it's slated for July.
I had to watch the first Purge, as in the fourth one, as in the prequel, on a plane, and it hadn't come out in Australia, and it just dropped on our Netflix like 2 weeks ago.
We never. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're massive box office hits
Because they're
never
made
get
for
them in
$10,
cinemas.
but like, yeah.
No, we got-
weird.
We didn't
I
get
think
any. We didn't get any.
Any
We
of
didn't
them?
get the first one either.
I thought we'd gotten the second one.
No.
Okay. Mulan's now July 24th. The SpongeBob movie is July 31st.
The Keanu Reeves
Now
vehicle.
here's where we get to the big one that I think will be the first movie to out the gate, and that is Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
Which you know what? If that's the first movie we come back to,
I know,
fucking
dude.
brilliant.
Oh,
Because
100%.
I am like as much as that first movie back, that cinema feeling will be amazing. To have it be Wonder Woman 1984 is just
Yeah.
like
And
Because-
the only issue is that where does Tenet go up again? Because they're both Warner
Now
Brothers.
here's
Pictures
here's my
movies.
thing. Again, I really think we're going to see a completely different landscape. I wouldn't be surprised. Tenet takes Dune's spot
Yeah.
because
That's December?
They
Just
finished
Dune's
production
December.
on Dune.
I know they did, but do you really want to put Dune a $200 million risk right now?
'Cause
when
then-
you've got your other $200
They
million,
want it to be
Tenet.
their awards movie.
Because you imagine Tenet could be an awards movie.
and that's the other thing. It's Nolan,
yeah.
Tenet, and it,
Yeah.
like you're putting
If you,
Good
Tenet.
point.
if you got to put your eggs in a basket,
Yeah, I'd put
Because
Tenet.
You're
Dune
gonna be
is
like, no
Dune's
one-
a risk.
Dune
is.
is a
I'm so
huge
I'm
like.
so excited for
I'm
it.
so
but
excited, but like
I feel
and
like it's
a risk.
another Blade Runner 2049.
Exactly.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
look,
As
Warner
much as
Warner
like,
Brothers.
Blade Runner
much.
went to number. I was like, it was a flop.
Yeah, Warner Brothers got burnt.
Yeah.
By it in,
Yeah.
over there they got burnt. Like they got
So
burnt with it. So
Like,
I know,
Yeah, it sucks,
I know.
But
So good.
yeah. So I
Much good
don't know if
movies.
Tenet is your risk is that like say July is when the theaters open. If you're Warner Brothers, are you risking? Hey, the first movie to come back with is a $200 million experimental film by Chris Nolan. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
At least with Wonder Woman,
it's got a
People-
You're going to get a
it's got
proven
built-
fan
it's-
base.
Yeah, it's got a
Yeah.
built-in
But
audience.
even if say it's not if it is July, it's you Mulan. Mulan
Yeah.
would be your first one.
Yeah.
There's the built-in fan base. Like you've got
It's
your
Disney. It's It's
Yeah,
a Disney.
like,
princess movie,
I
yeah.
really do think Tenet moves. Bill and Ted, I think, stays. Assuming by August we should be fine. And again, so the other big one that moved was Minions. So Minions moved to 2021. But what's so
Keep
interesting?
forgetting that's a movie.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that is it was the first film to move dates not because of the virus, but not because of that. We don't think we're going to make money.
No,
it was because we're just not going to be able to finish it in time.
Yeah.
And it's the first film that's actually had to do that. So that's where it's going to get interesting.
you know what else moved to 2021? F9.
Yep, Fast 9
F9,
took.
the Fast
So,
Saga.
and there comes another one. They haven't shot 10 yet.
And you know what else moved to 2021? My boy. My boy Big Johnson.
Oh,
Jungle Cruise moves an entire year. It will be 2.5 years delayed. It
Do you know what else
delayed
moves
just
to
as long.
2021? My boy, Morbius. Jared Leto.
I was like, Nicolas Cage movies aren't going to cinemas, dude.
So sad.
But again, that's another one.
Coronavirus.
But that's another one. So okay, Fast 9. Fast 9's moved to
F9.
for 9. For 9
sorry. For 9, the Fast Saga.
Yes.
Please add the
has now moved. It's taken Fast 10's spot, which means
Fasten your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, if that is not the tagline, I will be immensely disappointed.
But it's now taken that spot, which means
Fasten your seatbelt. The Fast Saga.
so. If you want to know what's
right
actually
stuff.
funny, what is not okay. Funny is not the right word, but interesting. This is the second time that Fast and Furious have tried to shoot two movies back to back, like release two movies
yeah,
in the same year. It would
'Cause
like
it was-
go. So Fast 6 and Fast 7, Furious 7 was coming out in 2014,
Yeah.
and then Paul Walker died, and they had to move it to 2015.
still
The
kinda-
same,
it
like
still really hurts.
I know it does. I know it does, but
It's just such a
God.
big
this is the second time they have tried to do two movies in 2 years in a row.
You know,
Yeah.
the universe was like, guys,
we can only handle so much.
that level of power cannot all be in
Yeah.
the universe at one time.
Actually, technically
Yeah.
third.
is-
Actually, now that I think about it, it's technically the third time.
There is
Because
a God.
Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw was last year.
True.
So this
Yeah,
year
it was.
Yeah, so
Well, there's just obviously a superior being up there who is an uncredited producer on the Fast and Furious movies who funnels Vin Diesel with his inhumane ability to be inhuman to an extent. I would have loved a Vin Diesel announcement video about the delay.
And it would have been like-
Guys, I just want to reach out to the part of my channel that the audience, if you will, that hated my Morbius trailer reaction so much because I wasn't excited for the movie.
You weren't?
I know. I
How
know.
dare you? Do you not understand the impact Morbius has on Spider-Man lore in the cinematic universe that he's never been in? Played by Jared Leto, a fucking certified creep. How dare you?
who didn't
Taylor?
even know about coronavirus.
I literally,
Fucking bless him.
I just want to say that I used all of my personal sway in this to get Morbius pushed as far as possible.
You think coronavirus was an accident? Nah, mate. I was like, what can I fucking do to stop Morbius from coming out?
for years.
But again, so Ghostbusters pushed to next year, which actually hurt because I was looking forward to that. I thought it could be good. But is there any films here that we just don't think is going to come out now this year because of just the packness? Snake Eyes is one in October that I think maybe might move.
I feel like they could push that to that. That definitely feels like it could be like a February, March release.
Yeah,
next
but
year.
again, Paramount need the hit. Like Top Gun
Top Gun's
hurt.
been pushed,
Top
yeah.
Gun hurt.
And like Quiet Place 2 is this is their money move.
That's 100% going to be their money making.
And the other one actually, I think it's Godzilla vs Kong. That's a big one.
I do not think we get that movie this year.
I don't think we're
They
going.
haven't even started. Have they filmed?
No,
it?
it's
being finished.
the problem they
Oh, it was
did was
supposed to come out last year,
It was supposed to it was supposed to come out March this
March,
year.
yeah.
The problem they had is they shot it before Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, and that movie tanked. So they're like, what do we do with this $200 million film that we've shot?
Which
We don't know how to
I'm
release
still
now.
just like
I had fun reactions from my review for that movie. I had people getting very angry that I didn't like it.
they took some of the most beautiful imagery for those kind of monsters
Right.
I've ever seen put on film, and then went, what's the most boring fucking story we can tell?
Because
It's so true, though.
I really liked Gareth Edwards'
2014
Godzilla.
one, yeah.
I really liked that movie. I thought it was.
Yeah, no,
I
I
liked
thought-
what they did.
liked
It was an interesting take.
I didn't
And
love it.
What they did with the sequel was just like.
But Taylor's so right because I have it. I bought it on 4K because I want to look at it, and then every time I go to put it in, I'm like, ew, it's just so shit. Like I don't want to
You
spend
want to
my
look
time.
at it? Just like Google
But-
image that shit.
But I think it's
I like to punish myself and
Yeah, well, that's
pay
fair. It's
$50 for a
very
Blu-ray.
I was waiting for it.
That's a good callback to another video you guys will see. When we
oh god.
love something. Called
So anyway,
Furby.
I think that one gets pushed.
I think
Yeah.
that one gets put
Yeah,
now.
makes
Okay,
sense.
so this is where my conspiracy theory comes in.
There we go.
I think Coming to America is going to be a huge hit. I think it is an Coming to America.
Oh, right.
I think it's going to be a giant hit.
Isn't that going straight to Netflix?
No, Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly
is.
Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think Paramount. It's going to be a huge hit for Paramount. Paramount are now opening it a week before Top Gun. So
Yeah.
now, here comes my thing. I think they pull it forward. I think they put it earlier if it's done. This is all predicated on the fact that it's done because it's a comedy that they shot over a year ago.
Yeah.
Probably is done. It's just been sitting on the shelf
So
because
Top
they
Gun's
want
been pushed to September, correct?
December.
December.
Yeah.
It's a Boxing Day movie for us now.
Yeah.
It's now a Boxing Day movie.
That's my heart just my stomach. It's literally my
Join-
phone
yeah,
background
join the
wallpaper.
club,
Top
Nick.
Gun.
You think I like having to wait an extra year to see Dwayne
Morbius
Johnson?
Oh, sorry. I mean,
But
Beautiful
Do-
jungle attire. Ugh.
Do we think that these two are vastly different movies, but do we think that Free Guy and West Side Story get buried amongst all of this stuff moving?
I
Free-
think
Free
West Side
Guy,
Story
yes.
because Spielberg. I think he'll
That'll get
try. I
pushed
think
to
he'll try and push it for
good
award
date.
season.
Okay.
But
and yeah,
it's also could be as much as they give it a good release date. Musicals sometimes
They
it's
go
like
either
musicals are
way.
either massive hit.
you can be La La Land
they-
or you can be Cats.
So right now, Dune, West Side Story, and Coming to America all open the same day.
Yeah.
Top Gun and The Croods 2 open a week later.
Fuck, The Croods 2's happening.
Yeah, apparently.
You told me I wasn't getting a Nicolas Cage movie in cinemas this year.
You don't see his face.
Actually, I don't think he's in it. I actually don't
Please
think. No,
tell me
he
he's
is.
been
He is. He's in it. Yeah.
Is Emma Stone still there?
Yeah, and
Wow.
Ryan Reynolds.
That's
Wow.
a contractual
then-
obligation.
yeah,
And then
Wait. The Last Duel hasn't moved
no,
yet?
and that's the other thing. So
There's hope.
what is the Oscar move? What are the Oscar movies this year? If a lot of these haven't finished filming, because King Richard hasn't finished filming, The Last Duel hasn't finished filming, and that movie
Yeah,
would have
but-
been a CGI film that
that'd be
needed a lot of
huge.
visual effects.
The thing, though, with The Last Duel is also we have to remember who's making this movie
That is fair.
because
That is also
he
very
could
fair.
sit down and be like, all right, 3 months to finish filming this, about 2 weeks editing, Oscar movie, let's
Yeah.
go.
This is the guy who literally replaced an actor, and in 2 weeks later, the movie was out. So,
And you wouldn't have known it.
no, you would not have. And who got the replaced actor a fucking Oscar
So
nomination.
I'm actually really interested
Yeah.
to see what
We
happens.
should probably just for people that maybe don't know what we're talking about. Ridley
Ridley
Scott.
Scott.
They filmed All the Money in the World with Kevin Spacey, who was hyped up to be an Oscar he
An
was going
awards
to get an
favourite?
Oscar nomination.
Never getting an Oscar nomination.
Then obviously Spacey Gate happened, and they replaced him with Christopher
Plummer.
Plummer, and Christopher Plummer being the fucking boss that he is.
Turned in an
makes
okay
that movie
performance in
and
an
gets
okay
a
movie.
Fucking Oscar nomination
Yeah.
because he's
Oh, sorry.
Christopher Plummer.
So yeah, the other movie.
What?
So
Oh my God.
just going off this year's Oscar films, that is.
I mean, you've at least got the French Dispatch, which I
That's-
mean, Wes Anderson.
That got moved to October.
Like-
that's October
That's
now.
October.
I'm excited.
French
for that one.
You've got-
Exit, which is everyone's pinning Michelle Pfeiffer as an Oscar thing. Which I'm
the
like,
other one
please
is
let
Last
that
Night in
happen.
Soho.
Yeah,
which
Edgar
is
Wright.
Edgar Wright's new one, Last Night
Yeah.
in Soho.
Yeah.
The Trial is Chicago 7, Aaron Sorkin's
Aaron
follow-up.
Sorkin's next movie,
That's
I
a big
think-
one.
If Promising Young Woman moves, Carey Mulligan is in the Oscar race.
I think
I
she
do
is
too, and I think it will.
I think they should move
Yeah.
it
That'd be
because
cool.
otherwise they're depriving themselves
Yeah.
of, I think,
Yeah.
a genuine Oscars campaign
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
movie.
But December is now, and this is the conversation I was trying to have.
Yeah.
The end of the year, they're basically.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that we're basically shoving in 2 years worth of movies into about 14 months. Like,
And having to find spaces for
And-
them all.
Yeah.
and
things are gonna.
There's going to be casualties. There'll be stuff that'll completely be buried.
Yeah.
And there'll be stuff that will go, you know what, we'll just shift to another year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Free Guy is one that does get buried. I think
so.
I
Like,
think-
we didn't even talk about it when
No.
I brought
Yeah.
up
Or,
that. It was
yeah.
so
or
True.
Free
Yeah.
Guy goes to a streaming service. Admittedly, when I saw the trailer
See,
for Free Guy,
but
I was
yeah,
like,
okay.
this looks like a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I
So
thought so
here
too.
is the
A very
problem.
big budget
Here
Netflix
is the
movie.
problem they
Six
have.
Underground, though?
Anything that is a Fox film,
Yeah.
the streaming rights are HBO.
Yeah.
They own the streaming rights. So Disney cannot put them onto a streaming
Mm.
service. There's no point unless. So
Unless
that's
it's
why they have-
HBO.
No, like there'd be no point. So you would have to release it in theaters.
which is why New Mutants is just
It's
in
still-
hell
Exactly.
forever.
Yeah.
Like
Because
because
that's
I was
gonna
like,
go
there's
to
no way,
theaters.
yeah, there's no way that they're not letting that have its day in the sun just because of all the contract stuff.
Yeah. So the other ones, I wouldn't be shocked if King Richard moves.
Wait,
I
go
wouldn't.
back.
Ooh, sorry.
sorry, I'm just trying. Oh, Escape Room,
Room 2 is still
Um,
technically
Still-
coming out
Escape Room 2 just got dated for January.
for us,
Yeah.
but it's still
It's
technically opening on
December. Yeah.
December 30th
Which,
in the US.
You know what? Like that
Yeah.
much of a muchness with that one, I think.
Yeah.
Peter Rabbit has pushed nearly a full year
Yeah,
in the
it's
but
a
US.
weird
we're getting it Boxing Day.
Yeah, so that's a Boxing
Australia
Day
gets
move
the
for
Boxing
us.
Day, America gets it.
Look
But-
at that. We win again.
Right?
Yeah.
But you also go, you really don't want to push that to like Easter when that movie
Yeah.
would be like
When it was supposed to.
when that
kind of
movie
come
would
out.
be a lot more
Like we only would have watched Peter Rabbit. We were
would've watched it
we were
about a
seeing
month
it pretty
ago.
early, but like we were getting it like
Thank God, right?
I know, guys. Like
one
I
I
said,
wanted
Oh,
to
the
see.
one that Corona took
hashtag
away.
winning.
But so far, like going through all the dates, 2021, while everyone joked that, oh, it's a huge year,
It's
and
now
it is,
bigger.
it's now bigger, but there are still dates available. Like there,
Right.
there are still quite a lot of dates
Like
that
you
are
think
available.
of it, there are weekends that like some people like movies don't necessarily do well, and it's like that's because people just don't want to go because there's not good stuff. I was like,
No,
you
exactly.
give a movie like a big movie, and then maybe 3 weeks later, give it another big movie. People will still go.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what the status on this untitled Tomb Raider sequel that's supposed to be coming
Yeah,
out in March
next
is?
year.
That's probably not coming out in March, but
Dead
that
in
was
the
because
fucking water. That's what
um,
that is.
who's the director?
Ben Wheatley.
Ben Wheatley,
Yeah.
which was like, different choice.
Did Ben Wheatley? He didn't direct the first
He
one.
didn't direct
No.
the first one, but he's
No.
directing the second
Yeah.
one because they've
It's
now
gonna be a
because
dark-
that was always
dark
one
fucking
that was
movie.
up in the air because the first one
Did okay.
like internationally it did well. America it didn't at all.
No.
Like
But
Fucking
you know,
America. I liked that movie.
so we've got
Yeah, I thought it was
Ghostbusters
alright.
after. We got in March next year. We've got Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I would be completely fine if we never saw her as Laura Croft ever
But it's
again.
quite funny to think
That's- yeah.
Alicia Vikander has very much disappeared.
It's weird.
Yeah.
She
It's-
had like her.
again. No, you know she's taken the Angelina Jolie thing. It's the Angelina Jolie career, beat for beat for beat. She
Yeah.
just got to come back with the
Quite
future
literally
husband.
with Tomb Raider.
Well, she's got the Green Knight.
Yeah.
Again, hasn't been delayed technically yet. It will, but it hasn't been
Would have
delayed.
So
seen
excited
that,
for
you
that.
I know.
Holy
I'm so stoked
shit.
for that one.
The other big news is all the Marvel films have basically gone up and moved one spot.
Yeah.
So every film has moved on
Which makes
by one
sense.
spot. It does. It makes complete sense.
Like yeah, it's like we just get Black Widow in November, we get Eternals in February. You're
Yeah, like it makes sense. I'm not. The most interesting part about that for me is what happens to the Disney Plus shows. Because they had to suspend production as well. But
and they've said that like a lot of like at least with Doctor Strange 2, it's like for that
Time.
movie to really make sense, you have to watch the WandaVision.
WandaVision.
show.
yeah, but has that now?
has that now affected it? Yeah.
Like what's going to affect that? For Doctor Strange, it's now giving like Raimi hasn't officially been confirmed, but everyone has said he's doing it.
Yeah.
It now gives him an extra 9 months to work on the film, which is
And make
huge.
it super fucking weird.
I know.
Can't
I'm
wait.
so.
I was so keen for Scott Derrickson,
know.
who was a horror
I know.
film director,
I would have
to
loved
do
Scott
a
Derrickson.
horror Doctor Strange.
But
Because
now
I
se-
rewatched Doctor Strange not too long ago, and I was like, "Fuck, this
it's good.
This movie's great."
I really, really like Doctor
And, like,
Strange. And Sinister
horror
is
Doctor
fucking
Strange
incredible.
I know.
done by
Well-
Scott Derrickson.
Well, we were at San Diego Comic-Con when they put up the title card for the first time,
Yeah.
saying it was going to be the Multiverse of Madness, and then Scott Derrickson came out, and I was like, "Are we going to get a Marvel horror movie?
Yeah.
Like, is
And then
that
they said-
actually what's happening?"
We're getting a Marvel horror
you know
film.
what? Also,
Really
like,
good.
is obviously they didn't even give it a date when it was announced, but now you're just like, is Blade now like completely just?
I mean,
true.
you know, we didn't even
Yeah.
know what year that was coming out. Now
Yeah.
you're like,
the other one, look, John Wick hasn't even started production.
No, that won't be coming out for a
That's
while.
like that hasn't even started, and it was meant to open the same weekend as Matrix 4, which is probably also being
You can
delayed.
probably like that. Probably has a quick turnaround for production. Like you can probably knock out a decent John Wick movie in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I,
I don't see it
I don't think
opening
it
the
was
same
smart
weekend.
initially to put Matrix and John Wick together.
I
because
thought it was stupid.
John Wick has its audience has built so much, and Matrix
Massively.
people will turn out for that out of just curiosity.
I
But I don't
me,
think putting those together was a good idea.
it's gonna go. John Wick will move to where the first film went, and it will go to October, which was where the first film was
Yeah.
and did so well, and that's where it will go.
Because I think now the great thing will be like all those traditionally small weekends like August and September are now going to be
Things on
massive
Well-
months, and now it'll be a case of will they always stay as big months, or were they only going to be big months because we've got so many movies to release?
Go back up.
Oop.
Sorry, I'm trying to like read as you're scrolling, and you keep moving.
So yeah.
Oh, look at that! There she is.
Yeah, so Chaos Walking
Chaos Walking.
is still
Oh,
dated
right.
for January.
Oh, God.
Wasn't that filmed in 1974?
I mean, Daisy Ridley was 4 years old, so yes.
And Maisie, and like it was around the same time that like Maisie Williams started New Mutants, so they're you know
that's
both gonna
crazy.
age
Hey,
well
that
together.
movie's fucked.
But now July has Spider-Man 2, the Spider-Man movie. Now, that won't move.
Into the Spider-Verse sequel.
No, the Far From Home
sequel. Yeah.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
3.
That's because Sony. Hey,
It's Sony, technically. I don't think that moves. What I do find fascinating, and I didn't get back to this earlier, Venom 2 has not moved yet.
that's right.
And-
Yeah, October.
I think
Hey,
because it's got an October date, they might keep it.
I know, but here's the other thing. Morbius moved.
Yeah.
How...
Well,
so clear-
Morbius was earlier, wasn't it? Morbius was
yeah,
July.
So
Morbius we were going to watch when we were over in the States in July.
But what's... No,
Voluntarily,
what I'm,
that's very
yeah,
brave.
But what I'm more fascinated by is Morbius... So clearly they don't go into each other now that they're the same universe. They're the same... Like, that's...
But then you never know. It
very
could be a
true.
case of Venom might just be a delayed announcement.
Yeah,
you know?
possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you
So-
could assume that at the end of Morbius there was probably going to be a Venom 2 thing, and now
Yeah.
it would be that won't make any sense.
Or they go extremely bold strategy and Venom 2, you watch Venom 2, then the end credits scene for Venom 2 is the entire film of Morbius. Because they know people aren't going to want to pay to see that. Oh, God, Morbius.
So-
Disgusting.
I just want to
Just want to read some comments on the video. Sorry.
I just want to end this. So the other.
I just want to end it.
Yeah, I just want to end it. It's over.
It's like, go back to your cult, Jared Leto.
So the things that I'm finding very interesting, though, that we haven't talked about is when does the marketing start? When as a studio.
Well, if you're James Bond, you've already started, and Daniel Craig is pissed.
Oh man, he's
But when,
Yeah,
if, as
I
a
mean,
studio,
Yeah.
when do you start going, we're going to put a date out?
I think it depends. I think the stupid thing is they have to take it month by month, because until you know when those theaters are opening back up again, it doesn't make sense to put money into marketing them now.
Because then you've also got, as much as the cinemas go back, you're like, then you need all of the late night talk shows
Yeah.
and the morning breakfast shows to all come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Like-
there's only, and you can't really, like maybe the first few you still do the
Over
but
voice.
it's like, it's
Yeah.
not the same thing.
And
Yeah.
that's, to me, is where it gets interesting. When do they start dropping trailers again?
Yeah.
Like Venom
Yeah.
2. Venom 2 opens in October. By now, we would have had a trailer.
like a teaser.
Like,
trailer.
just a teaser,
It
like,
would be
it's-
like if even if they don't know a date, it would be a nice thing amongst all this craziness while we're trapped inside for a movie to release a trailer, even if it's just soon.
Yeah.
Or they play
Yeah.
into the Corona thing, being like,
Yeah.
we'll open whenever the hell we can.
But
know?
but you're not
like a
wrong.
joke, like
Like,
a,
yeah.
like
A
a
joke
movie,
of the-
a movie like I'm trying
Like,
like
Free Guy could have great marketing.
That could,
saying,
towards this.
When are we opening? You know, like Ryan Reynolds could even like film something specifically.
It could
for
be
them.
like,
Yeah.
look, I'm stuck in a video game that you're probably playing right now. Like,
Yeah, like they could
just-
do something with that, and it'd be like, even if we don't have a date, we still want people to talk about our movies.
yeah,
You know,
like, and that's what I'm fascinated by, because Tenet, if it opens in July, we've had one trailer. Really, we've had one official
a
trailer,
trailer
and
that,
one.
like a lot of people are like, what?
No, but we've had technically two.
one
One
was
that one that never got released at all in theater online. It was only in theaters.
Oh, I saw that one,
which was
actually.
yeah. So like everyone's pretty much saw it,
yeah.
but it only was in theaters. And then we had the official one, and that's it. And this opens in July. You've got Wonder Woman
yeah,
has had
Wonder
one
Woman.
trailer, and it opens in August. Like when do Bill and Ted opens in August?
We've had nothing.
No trailer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when do studios start having the discussion of we need to we need to actually market these films, even just trailers, because if we open next week, what happens?
Because like as much as Daniel Craig had started Bond, you're like Emily Blunt and John Krasinski had done
the full
the
thing.
full promo to it because
Yeah.
they were like, our movie's coming out, and then it didn't. So you're almost like, for a movie like that, do they bother
Going to it
redoing
again,
things
no.
again? You know,
No, they just release all the old stuff.
I mean, honestly,
Maybe.
with something like that, you could just rebook a couple of talk shows,
Yeah.
maybe, but
Yeah.
not do any just to kind of.
and
just say
that
yeah.
movie's big enough that it
Yeah.
will succeed.
But,
Like people
well-
want to see that.
Or
But that's the other
if
thing
a movie
is-
that's they've got the release date for it and they don't have talk show hosts, be like, just replay those
Yeah.
talk shows. you
Yeah.
know, and put like a
Maybe.
disclaimer saying this was filmed
Filmed
You know,
before,
if they talk
like-
about,
It's
In a world
that
before
to me
Corona.
is where it gets fascinating. In what do you do? Like how
It's odd because it's so
yeah.
unprecedented. Like
No,
no one has an answer because we've never experienced.
how do you solve a
something
problem
this
like
before.
Corona?
But yeah, I'm fascinated by like the fact that no one's even marketing December films at we're not getting the teaser for West Side Story. We always would have a teaser by now. Like just even hey, West Side Story's coming. Like
yeah, because
they
we're about almost halfway into the year at this
They
point.
released promo images once the
Yeah.
cusp of Corona was happening.
Yeah.
So you were kind of like, oh, so people are
Trailers-
still marketing shit. So
yeah, and then
now everything's stopped.
We've got nothing, and it's
I saw a movie ad for the first time today on YouTube, and it was for The Hunt because we still don't have it in Australia.
We're getting it.
And then and they were like, it's coming on digital. Like you'll be able to watch it.
That was when I saw Invisible Man, because I knew, when I saw Invisible Man, they played the trailers for Candyman and The Hunt. Candyman at that stage,
was still
everything
coming.
was still
Okay for
okay.
June.
And but by that time, I knew The Hunt wasn't coming out. So when the trailer came on, I was like, huh. And Wing was like, what's
like-
this? And I was
it's
like,
like, they
don't
don't
worry,
know.
it's not coming to cinemas. So, but it was just weird
That
to
insider
see
knowledge.
trailers for movies that you're like, these would have come out.
Yeah.
You know? We would have had The Hunt this weekend. If
I'm
things didn't.
that's the most fascinating
Hmm.
part for me is okay, there is going to be a life after coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know when, but there is going to be a life. Movies are going to come out.
Yeah.
We are going to have a sense of normalcy again, which is the message I do want to actually everyone to take away from this is we are going to have a sense of normalcy again. But when do you start promoting that? Like, when do you actually start going, hey, this is the movie for when we're back in normalcy? I just, people are making millions and millions of dollars to make this decision, and they need that money. Like, they're deserving
I
that
think
money
that's-
for this.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people are forgetting when they're just like, oh, let's put it on streaming. Streaming makes money. You're like, it doesn't really.
It's like streaming makes money for the companies that are dedicated streaming
That's it.
platforms
Like a Netflix movie that they make, they know what they're going to make
Disney,
off of that. They're
Disney
like,
don't make more money by putting Black Widow on Disney Plus
No.
because you're already paying for a subscription.
and
for
because
that.
then my thing is that you put a movie on a streaming service or a VOD that's like Black Widow Mulan, that gets pirated.
Straight away.
There's no way that people don't
Straight away.
pirate that
Well, and
movie.
that's the other side of streaming that people don't really talk about.
Yeah.
Is you put a new movie on there, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, there's going to be a
It's
way
already
to.
online.
That it gets out there.
There's a H or 4K version of that movie
Yeah.
online.
Which people just, I think, don't think that'll happen. They don't think of that
And
stuff.
then
You're
they
like,
go, oh, but-
piracy is still a massive problem.
It is
huge, especially
and
in
then
Australia,
The
it's
other
massive.
problems you've got is Disney Plus is not in every country.
Yeah.
So hey, Disney Plus not in every country, but hey, Black Widow's on Disney Plus. Cool. Onward right now for us.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus, but it's not in Australia.
Yeah.
We get it end of April.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting
It's showing
at.
that it's not going as much as they're
yeah.
like onwards on Disney Plus. You're like in certain countries.
And so right now, if they said, "Hey, Disney Plus, it's Black Widow is now on Disney Plus in America," it would be one of the most single pirated movies
You'd be like,
in Australia.
it's out, and then you'd be like, hey, did you watch Black Widow? Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you see it? I didn't have to wait for Disney Plus.
Plus.
That's for sure.
yeah, and that's and.
And
that
also,
is
we don't
one
want
of-
that then opening up a whole other thing about fucking female directors and female-led movies because
Oh God, no. Yeah.
fuck
And
everyone.
So
about
here's
that shit.
and okay, I'm not going to go there, but that is just
Sorry,
fascinating.
that has nothing to do with
I
it.
know it
but
has.
that
No,
angers me.
I know it does because
It's
that is going to impact a lot of careers this year because this was the year of the female-led blockbuster. We had about 7 this year. All of them have either been pulled, delayed, they're next year, they're tanked. And that is going to affect their careers and it's going to affect the mindset unfairly, completely unfairly, but it is going to happen. And that's the sad part about this. And not just that's the only sad part about this, but that's a aspect of this that is terrible is because it is going to, we say that this is a bubble and that this will happen one year, but people aren't. There's going to be a movie like, say, the Death on the Nile. Okay, a film that's probably aiming at around a $300 million return. Like that's probably what they want. I don't even know what the first one did,
The
but
first one did
First
pretty
one did
well.
alright.
but yeah, so it's probably got about a budget like the first one.
The first one was around 55, 60.
Yeah, so the first one was 55 and it made 350. You're probably looking at around the same. It's probably not going to do much more. It's
good,
probably
yeah.
not going to do much less. That's what you're thinking when you approve it. It ain't going to do that. Like, it definitely, like,
because
just
out of
this year-
everything that's coming out this year, not many people are going to want to see Death of the Nile.
But that's
if
what
they
I
get a
You never know,
chance to
Death
see.
and Nile might end up being one that they push.
Yeah, but what that's going to impact is possibly a sequel.
Yeah.
The third one because is not going to happen because instead you want this film that should have made $350 million made 150 because
Yeah.
coronavirus.
But then other things that come into play that affect that as well as with production. So this movie, say for example, this movie Death and Nile gets pushed back. People who are in that movie go on to do other projects in that time because post coronavirus, a lot of people will be like, well, fuck, I just got to do projects at the moment. Like I just got to make sure I'm just getting my name out there. Then the opportunity for a third one gets greenlit and then they can't return so there's so many snowball.
Although at
things that
least the
affect.
good thing with those movies is that
True, it's
Kenneth Branagh is pretty much the only person.
It's
that
a
happens.
interchangeable cast,
but the idea is right there
Yeah.
that hey, this is going to have a snowball effect, and
Yeah.
that's the thing of how many people are
for a long time.
But
too.
yeah, and like
For a
how
long
many
time.
people were booked for a film that they could do? Like Colin Farrell is the Penguin for Batman. was he booked for something after Batman? And can he no longer do that? Or does he drop out of Batman?
He wasn't in Fantastic Beasts 2, was he?
No.
But that's what
Get
I'm
him back
getting
to
at.
replace
Is,
Ezra Miller.
no, well, yeah.
Controversial,
But that's what I'm getting at, is that this is going to have snowball effects, and you're going to see people drop out because of scheduling conflicts, and it's not just going to be a press thing. It's going to be, no, there is genuine, actual scheduling conflicts, and that's the fascinating
When we say
thing.
scheduling conflict, we actually mean scheduling conflict.
Yeah, for the first time, that's not just a publicity thing. But yeah, I that's, to me, the most fascinating part about all of this is what impacts is this going to have on the film industry 10 years from now, when we're looking back and going, wow, coronavirus really did impact.
It absolutely, I think some people are not just talking about cinema now, but like the way that the world is acting now.
yeah.
I think it's going to be something that will continue happening. Like we'll all be a lot more
Self-conscious and
cautious of
about
things, I think.
yeah.
You know, like I can't
For a
wait till I'm
while.
allowed to hug someone again. That's for damn sure.
I'll
See
be
my
waiting,
bloody,
Peter.
see my parents. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, that too, yeah.
But no, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
Nothing. I just I don't know quite how to.
Because you
where
have
to
the
go from
answers,
there.
Taylor.
Yeah.
God damn
God,
it.
Taylor, you know all the answers.
You started this thing to stop Morbius. Now fix it.
No, that was her end game. She succeeded.
You just ascend. Just lift off into the heavens.
So like my work here is done.
And Morbius goes straight down to hell.
But it's fascinating.
It's very fascinating. And I think we've said it many times, but the repercussions of this for years to come are going to be just as interesting to look at. Not necessarily even in film, but also obviously TV, but just in the way we live life and how we consume pop culture and media, I think is definitely not going to change drastically over the next few years, but we're definitely going to see more innovation and new ideas and I'm not smart enough to know what they are, but I just know they're coming. So,
No, but I think
I'm preparing.
it's very telling how they were like, you know, South by Southwest cancelled, Tribeca cancelled, Cannes Film Festival, I think they've mentioned
delayed?
It's been delayed. It's
Yeah.
been delayed.
But you imagine maybe this year is just the year that we don't have anything, but there's no way that that's the way it'll be.
But they won't.
Everything will come back next year and be like,
they won't cancel the Oscars, and we'll see Vin Diesel get
But I
nominated
think-
for
but I
Bloodshot
also
Best
think-
Actor.
I also think the Oscars and Golden Globes, I wouldn't be surprised if they shift them later to give other stuff time to be seen, because we all know the Academy doesn't watch everything.
But there could
Now
also
you've got
be.
no excuse.
But are we going to see the Academy be more relaxed on the rules
Let's
of
hope
the
Yeah.
hey,
Don't have to be in
Oh,
theaters
it
2
was
weeks
a good
streaming.
performance, but is it a horror movie? Yes, you still do it.
But I'm more meaning like, are we going to see the Oscars go, hey, we get that you weren't able to play in a theater,
Yeah.
but we're still going to nominate you because that's I don't know. It's a fascinating. We won't know the answer to that until the end of the year, really.
This has been Jacob and Taylor signing off. You guys.
Thank you again for watching.
Nick and I will be back next week with who knows what will happen.
I mean, if movies are cancelled in general for the rest of the year, we'll be the first to let you know after the rest of the world has let you know through Twitter and Reddit and Facebook. But we will be here with our opinion as well.
Because we're the only opinion that matters. And scene.
Oh, I'm so.
So I'm gonna put a counter somewhere on the screen that ticks how many times we've all said fascinating throughout this video.
Oh, wow. Have we really said
Yeah,
that?
we have.
Wow.
Patreon exclusive. Every time we say
Fascinating.
fascinating,
compilation.
we take a shot. That's how we get through fairy
Oh, God. This is meant to be a 20-minute video.
Well, if you guys have had a fascinating time listening to us talk today, please leave a like, subscribe to our channel, leave some comments, let us know what you think is going to happen after all this COVID-19 craziness. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We love your support so much, and we will see you next time.